All right, if you're just starting your journey in management, listen up. We're about to break down the single most important skill you'll use every single day, making decisions. Seriously, if you can master this, you're well on your way.
Okay, think about this for a second. Your stereo breaks, your company's sales are slipping, and one of your employees is always late. I mean, on the surface, these seem completely random, right? You've got a personal tech problem, a big business crisis, and a people issue. But there is a powerful thread that connects every single one of them. Any guesses what it is? You got it. They are all signals. Each one is a little alert, a trigger that's basically screaming at you, hey, a decision needs to be made here. It could be a problem you've got to solve, or it might be an opportunity you need to jump on. The main thing is, something needs your attention and you have to make a choice.
And this leads us right into a core concept, managerial decision-making. Now, it's not just about that final moment where you say, okay, let's do this. No, it's the entire process. From the second you recognize that signal, to brainstorming and weighing all your options, and then, only then, making that final call. It's a structured, repeatable system.
So how do you actually navigate this process without getting lost? Well, you use a playbook. And we're about to walk through a foundational 4-step framework that is going to become your go-to guide for pretty much any situation you face. And here it is. This is our roadmap. Recognize, generate, evaluate, and choose. Simple, right? We're going to break down each one of these so you can see exactly how they all fit together to create a really powerful and, most importantly, a reliable process. Let's start with step 1, recognizing the need. Now, spotting the symptoms is the easy part. Slipping sales, that's a symptom. An employee who's always late, also a symptom. But your real job as a manager is to dig way deeper and define the actual problem. Why are sales slipping? Is it the product, the marketing? And why is the employee late? Are they unmotivated? Or is something tough going on at home? A lot of people rush this step, but trust me, if you get the diagnosis wrong here, any solution you come up with is pretty much doomed to fail. Okay, so once you've truly defined the real problem, it's time to start building your options. This part of the process involves 2 key moves, generating your alternatives and then evaluating them. So step 2 is all about generating alternatives. This is where your creativity and your research skills really come into play. Your goal here is to come up with a solid set of potential solutions. But, you could brainstorm dozens of ideas. So what's the secret to not getting overwhelmed and focusing only on the alternatives that actually matter? Well, the key is to identify what's called the limiting factor. Weyrich and Kuhns define it as something that stands in the way of accomplishing a desired objective. Just think of it like a bottleneck. If a giant machine breaks down because of one tiny faulty lever, that lever is your limiting factor. And this is why that concept is so powerful. Once you know that the broken lever is the real problem, you don't waste your time and energy checking the power supply or rebooting the software. You focus all your effort on alternatives that fix or replace that one specific part. It just narrows your search dramatically and makes your decision-making so much more efficient. All right, so you've used the limiting factor principle to create a nice, focused list of potential solutions. Now we've arrived at step 3, evaluation. It's time to get critical and really weigh these options against each other. To do this right, you have to consider 2 kinds of factors. First up, you've got your quantitative factors. These are the hard numbers, things you can measure, like time, operating costs, and projected revenue. But you can't just stop there. You also have to look at the qualitative factors. These are the trickier, intangible things, like the quality of your team's morale or the risk of some political change. A plan that looks amazing on paper can be completely sunk if you ignore these human factors. Now, when you're evaluating, you bring a certain mindset to the table. Are you an optimizer, the kind of person who relentlessly searches for that single, perfect, 100% best solution, no matter how long it takes? Or maybe you're a maximizer, trying to find the option that just checks the most boxes on your list. And then there's the satisficer. This is the person who finds the first solution that's good enough and then moves on. And don't knock it. In a fast-moving market where speed is everything, satisficing might actually be the smartest play. Getting a good product out the door fast is often better than waiting months for the perfect one. Okay, so you've evaluated all your options. How do you actually make the final pick? Well, managers usually lean on one of 3 common approaches to seal the deal. First, you can rely on experience. You've seen a problem like this before, and you know what worked and what didn't. Second, you can use experimentation. This is like A/B testing 2 different website headlines to see which one gets more clicks. And finally, you have research and analysis, where you, say, build a complex financial model to project the outcomes before you spend a single dollar.
So here's the crucial thing you have to get. Understand the trade-offs. Experimentation gives you amazing, real-world data, but wow, it can be incredibly expensive in terms of time, money, and people. On the other hand, research and analysis, that pen and paper approach, is almost always cheaper. I mean, think about it. It's much, much better to find a design flaw on an airplane blueprint than after you've already built a multi-million-dollar prototype, right?
Okay, so we've got our 4-step process down, we know how to choose. But the best managers, the really great ones, add one final critical layer to their thinking. They understand that no decision ever happens in a vacuum.
You've heard the saying, no man is an island. Well, the exact same thing is true for decisions. No decision is an island. Your department, your team, your whole company, it's an open system that is constantly interacting with the world around it. And that means every single choice you make is gonna have ripple effects that you have to try and anticipate.
So what does this actually mean for you? It means you have to think on 3 different levels. First, you have to ask, how will my decision affect other departments inside the company, the internal subsystems? Second, how does this choice align with the total enterprise, with the company's big picture goals and policies? And finally, you have to look outside. What's happening in the external environment? Are there economic shifts, new government rules, or social factors you need to consider? Ignoring any of these can turn a great decision into a total disaster. We've covered the framework, the tools, and the bigger picture. So let's bring it all back to you right now. Think about those decision criteria we talked about. Be honest with yourself. Does your natural gut instinct lean more towards being a maximizer, always trying to check every single box? Or are you more of a satisficer, focused on finding that good enough solution quickly so you can just move on? Look, at the end of the day, there's no single right or wrong style. The most important point is this. Just understanding your own natural approach is the first and maybe the most powerful step you can take. It lets you consciously adapt your style to fit the situation, and that is what will make you a truly effective and thoughtful decision maker.